In 6th grade, I joined my school's orchestra, and I was learning to play drums. But when it was time for our first concert, I hadn't made much progress. And so I was assigned to play the triangle. I probably only had to strike it a half dozen times, but they were key moments. The song wouldn't sound right without it. And that's the beauty of an orchestra. Musicians with different skills and abilities all working together to perform a piece of music, so that even something as silly as a little triangle becomes important. And that same powerful dynamic is at work in biblical fellowship. We come together with our different backgrounds and experiences and personalities and gifts to serve one mutual purpose. Of course, Jesus defines that mission in Matthew 28:19 through 20 by saying, "Go therefore and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, teaching them to observe all that I've commanded you, and behold, I'm with you always to the end of the age." This undertaking is enormous. Its scope is worldwide. All those gifts that we saw in Romans 12:6 through 8, they're all needed to fulfill it. The prophecy, service, teaching, exhortation, giving, leadership, acts of mercy. Every believer has a unique part to play. And everything about us, all our experiences, work into that and contribute to it. So this mutual purpose unites us and energizes us to live for the Lord. And I think we see that dynamic at work in Acts 21, verses 15 through the first part of 20, as Paul comes to Jerusalem. Luke tells us, after these days we got ready and went up to Jerusalem, and some of the disciples from Caesarea went with us, bringing us to the house of Mnason of Cyprus, an early disciple with whom we should lodge. When we had come to Jerusalem, the brothers received us gladly. On the following day, Paul went in with us to James, and all the elders were present. After greeting them, he related one by one the things that God had done among the Gentiles through his ministry. And when they heard it, they glorified God. Now, there are some tensions beneath the surface here. The early church had to work through differences between Hebrew-speaking Jews who were raised in Judea and those who grew up elsewhere in the broader Hellenistic world and spoke Greek. Acts chapter 6 records that it all came to a head in a dispute over taking care of widows, because the Hellenistic Jews thought that their widows were being neglected. It's only speculation, but perhaps that's why Luke notes that Paul stays with this believer, Mnason, who was raised on Cyprus. He and Paul were both Hellenistic Jews, Greek-speaking Jews. Interesting. Now, there were also concerns regarding Gentile believers. Old Testament law required Jews to separate themselves from Gentiles. And so some said that Gentiles who became Christians needed to be circumcised and keep the law. You may remember Acts 15 talks about how the church in Jerusalem met and rejected that assertion, that claim. Peter there said that the law is an unbearable yoke and that salvation is by grace. But there was still some confusion over that issue and over Paul's views on it particularly. Aside from all of that, the brothers in Jerusalem receive Paul gladly. When he relates what God has done through his ministry, the elders glorify God. And so this great mutual purpose that Jesus has given us as his followers enables them all to celebrate what God has done. They glorify him. And I think we see the power of that mindset later on during Paul's imprisonment in Philippians chapter 1, verses 15 through 18. He's writing from prison and he says, "Some indeed preach Christ from envy and rivalry, but others from goodwill. The latter do it out of love, knowing that I'm put here for the defense of the gospel. The former proclaim Christ out of selfish ambition, not sincerely, but thinking to afflict me in my imprisonment. What then? Only that in every way, whether in pretense or in truth, Christ is proclaimed. And in that I rejoice. Yes, and I will rejoice." Paul's so committed to the fulfillment of that mission that he finds joy even when he's personally sidelined, stuck in prison, because it isn't about him. And so we need that perspective. Is that your heart? Are you doing all that you can for the mission? Praying, using your gifts, celebrating every step forward, looking for any opportunity to be a witness. If that's really our heart, then it leads to one more, a benefit of fellowship.